Morning everybody! I'm always a little bit delayed and I look at this, I'm all scruffy. Cool! Nice to have you back at Bethel Kids. I'm back. I'm unpacked from Camp Freedom. Boy, that was good fun. I hope you had good fun over the summer holidays at Camp Freedom and whatever else you were up to over the summer holidays as well. Whether you went away, whether you stayed at home, whether you did lots of craft, whether you did lots of running, jumping, climbing trees and lots of other things. I hope you had so much fun. And in fact, this morning is the return of news and updates! John's looking at me like there's no music coming through because there probably isn't. But there we are. That's fine. There is music on that somewhere, but I don't know why it didn't come through. Awesome. So we've got some cool updates from people. Obviously it's the first time back, so we haven't got updates from lots of people. Please next week send your updates in so that we can know what you guys have been up to. Because you've started back school, so there's probably loads of stories that you can tell us from that. So the Vernons have had a great summer cooking, crafting, going on holiday to Brighton, going to an open air West End concert and circus, and enjoying spending chill out time together. So let's have a look. I think that's Erin doing some awesome craft. Very cool. Olivia enjoying a little cheeky Starbucks there. Very nice. Frappuccino. Ooh, cupcakes. I do love cupcakes. I hope lots of cupcakes went on over the summer holidays. Look at the colours on those as well. Blue icing, my favourite. Oh, cool. I love the little pom-poms there, Erin. Very cool. Absolutely awesome. And one of the many showers we had over the end of the summer. Wasn't it weird how when we were in lockdown and everybody was working from home and schooling from home, it was absolutely gorgeous sunshine outside. And then the summer hit, summer holidays hit, and rain. Awesome. You went to Arundel. Did you meet Anna and Elsa while you were there? I'm sure there's probably different spelling, but it's still cool. Arundel. And there was ducks there. I didn't see ducks in the film. What's up with that? Oh, cool. Brighton there with Rob and your mum as well. Oh, cool. Look at that. It must have been lovely on the beach. Definitely nice. I can see how hot it is just from your dad's hat. Awesome. Cool. Look at that. Open air circus and stuff. That is really awesome. John's looking really jealous.
Love the circus.
Well, Gel, you'll have to confess that jealousy. Confess it. No, love the circus. Absolutely awesome. It looks like there's really cool, like tight ropes and trapezing going on there as well. So we've got an update from the Lawsons as well. So the Lawsons went to have a visit at Walnut Tree Farm, and they fed the animals and rode on a horse. Ava, you look absolutely at home on top of that horse. Was it sanitized before you went on it? Did they just rub it all down with alcohol wash? That would have been like incredible amounts of alcohol wash to rub the horse down. However, you do look really at home on that horse, and I hope your daddy's taking notice of that. Definitely. I think maybe another shed might need to be built to keep a horse in. So we've got back to school for Ava and Ruben as well. Ruben looking very cheeky in your school uniform there. Very cool. Love it. The green really suits you as well. But I hope you had an awesome time at school this week. I know it's very different, it's very strange. There's a lot of new procedures and a lot of new things that you need to do when you go in there. Washing hands and toilet times and lots of other things in the classroom, keeping yourself distant. However your school is managing this coronavirus pandemic. But I hope it's lovely to get back into school, get back into learning, and get back into seeing your friends as well. How cool is that? But Lydia didn't go to school this week. She doesn't start back until next week. So apparently she's been doing some baking at home. I still have to see evidence of this baking apart from this going on, this picture going on. I want evidence. I want actual physical evidence, i.e. cookies delivered to my door, please. That would be awesome because those star cookies look really cool. Are they gingerbreads or are they shortbreads? I wonder what they are. We'll have to taste and see, isn't it? Taste and see. And Lydia got a haircut. Ooh, look at that. Nice little layers going in there, Lydia. Very lush for starting back school next week. And as I said earlier, they built a new shed, a new bike shed, or Daddy built a new bike shed for them so that the bikes can go in there, and they've had some awesome time painting it. Ruben, you look like a character from Thundercats. By the power of this paintbrush, I paint thee. It's all that's really, really cool. I love it, love it, love it. Did you get really, really super duper messy as well with all the paint everywhere? Did you get your dad messy? Is the most important thing to know. So next up we have the urine chats. So the urine chats, Lucy and Sammy recreated the Camp Freedom set out of their Playmobiles. How cool is that? You can even see me peeking out of the tent. At least I think that one's me. I'm not sure. Is it which one's me and which one's John? I think I'm in the tent peeking out, and John's got the high-vis jacket on. What do you reckon? Yeah, I think so. I wish we had that many things at our Camp Freedom though. Look at that. There's like a log bridge, deck chairs. We had to sit on the floor. They've got a table there. I'm well, Gel. Cool. And there's a bit of a close-up there. You can see the fire pit where we did the campfire stories. That's a really cool setup. I absolutely love that. Also, Sammy and Lucy did the hide and seek challenge. Now, can you spot Sammy in this picture? I can assure you he is there. I'll give you 2 seconds to try and find him. Also, I'm loving the little Star Wars Angry Birds stickers on your bed. Very cool. And there he is! Very well placed hiding blanket going on there. Very, 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 very cool. Thank you so much, guys, for sending those in. And next we have Elsie and Miriam, the Piccolos. We went to the park in Penarth, Clifftop. Very cool. That looks really cool. I love Penarth because especially right at the top you can see all of like Cardiff, all of Penarth, and all across the sea to Western over the other side as well. Really, really cool. At 8:30 a.m. one morning. Wow, you must have been up well early for that. Because it does get busy later on. That's a very good point. And then after breakfast, they had a picnic breakfast, which included cake for breakfast. Oh, I'm so proud of you guys. So cool. And they went to Mountain Ranch View and with Auntie Becky. And apparently they've got a hobbit hole at Mountain Ranch View. I'm not sure who's the most excited at being in the hobbit hole, if it's Catherine or Elsie and Miriam. Although Miriam's got a really huge smile. It's probably about the right size for her, actually. That's really cool. And they went on the swings as well, and all the fun things that you can play at Mountain Ranch with the play park. Really cool. Oh, they did a peekaboo as well. Can you see them? I think they're hiding in the Lego box in the back. What do you reckon? I think maybe the Lego box in the background. Nope, it was under the blankets. Peekaboo. Cool, we got the Barkers, we got my family next, so we went camping. This is Eli at about 10 o'clock in the morning, sleeping in. He slept really well on his camp bed, bless him. And you can see him there. This is Hylwen sleeping. I can assure you that Hylwen is underneath that panda somewhere. She's having a nap in the camper van. We had a lovely swing at the place that we were staying as well, which is really cool. And well, inspired by the Lawsons, because we loved the story of all of the butterfly story, the caterpillars that went into crystallized, they crystallized, and then they turned into, pardon? Cocooned. They cocooned, and they turned into butterflies. So we got a set of butterflies ourselves, and this is us just as we were releasing them. So you can see Eli there holding the orange that they had for some food. They had their snoots out and they were sucking it all up. And then you can see one that actually landed on Hylwen's hand, which was really, really super cool. Almost to say, thank you very much for looking after us. And then they flew off and went and did their own little thing, which is really cool. We went to Fonman Castle, which had some cool castle grounds there. We climbed the trees and we went around all of the area, and they had some dinosaurs there as well, which is really cool. We made some pizza from scratch. So you see Hylwen there stirring the curds and whey at the start there, and then we made mozzarella out of that. And then Eli there was rolling out the pizza pan, and then yeah, we made pizzas all the way with mozzarella and the sauce and everything, all from scratch, which was really good fun to learn how our food is made. We also did digging at the allotment. So you see Elijah there, the foreman, on his little 4x4 going through the mud, and Auntie Helly there and Heilwen digging away, trying to find some potatoes. They were there, they just had to look for them, which is really cool. So we played hide and seek as well. If you can spot Elijah and Heilwen, that would be really cool. But it's not really Elijah and Heilwen, it's me and Yale. Me and Yale hid in the den from Elijah and Heilwen. We managed about 20 minutes in there before they came and found us, which was great. Lupin, update on Lupin. Lupin has had an awesome summer. He's been chilling out with his glasses on, which is really cool. He's been having fun in the garden, nibbling everything, and then he's been coming in for cutches. He's been losing lots of fluff because he's getting his different coats in, so we've been having to brush him lots and lots and lots because there's fluff everywhere. We also went to IKEA, and this is me doing my dad joke thing where I took the tape measure and I made sure that everybody was 2 meters away from us, which is the thing you need to do during pandemic. Total dad joke, I will confess. We had a lovely coffee morning after the service last week, after the All Together service, and Eli took part in the coffee morning and made sure that everybody knew about his trains and his train track and what he was doing, because his train tracks are very important. But it just shows that no matter what age you are, you can take part in the church coffee mornings and just have a laugh and see people that you might not have seen in a while, which is really cool. And this week was really super duper exciting because we got to meet up as a youth group for a short period in Haley Park. We had a very distant game of rounders, so that was really nice to see some faces of people that weren't on a TV screen. But yeah, that was super duper fun and really energetic as well. Far too energetic after sitting still for such a long period of time. So thank you so much, everybody, for sending in all of your pictures. They're super cool to catch up with you, and really cool to see what you've been up to. So I look forward to next week when you send some more pictures in. That'd be awesome. So we're going to go straight into our Sila. Can we get the pick and pick, John? Is that all right? Cool. We're going to go straight into our Sila. So the sing this morning is on the handout that gets available on the website, and it's a brilliant tune. God is good all the time. There's a really funky video that goes with it, and some funky folk style guitaring that goes with the God is good all the time. There's a song of praise in this heart of mine. Yeah, sorry, I can't help but sing it. Can't help but sing it. Right, so we're going to go straight into explain. So what are we here to talk about this morning? We're here to talk about the fact that God saves. God saves. So our verse for this morning is Psalm 68, verse 20. Our God is a God who saves. From the sovereign Lord comes escape from death. Now I know you all love it when we talk about death. It's great. You all seem to get really super duper excited and ask loads of questions about it. But surprisingly, this morning the story doesn't involve death. In fact, it's don't be so disappointed, John. In fact, it tells us how God saves us. So, I want to start with a question. Have you ever needed saving? Have you sometimes climbed a tree and maybe gone too high? Or have you swum? Swims? Sunk? Have you sunk too deep? in the river or in the swimming pool and then needed saving, needed somebody jumping in to help you up? I remember when I was 12, I was playing in the park across the road from my house and I slipped on some monkey bars. It had been raining, and do you know monkey bars are the handles that you go across the top? And I broke my arm. Both bones. It was this arm, it's my right arm, it was my writing arm. I broke both bones, and you can see there I've got the scar there and there. I've got the scar. And I was in such shock because literally my arm had an extra joint in the middle. It just kind of was all floppy and horrible. And it really hurt. And I was helpless. I was just looking at my arm going, I don't know what to do. I needed to get back home to my mum and dad. And my brother came to rescue me and help me to hold my arm together and to cross the road safely. He ran ahead down the road to tell my mum and dad, and they met me, and my dad strapped my arm up, and then he did the fastest route to hospital he could find. And he made it really, really fast, honestly. If he tells you the story ever, he was very, very fast. The Bible tells us that we're all in much, much greater danger than falling and hurting ourselves, and that we all need saving. And this week, we're going to be looking at how God saves. He rescues us from danger, and he brings us to safety. You may have heard the words 1,000 times before, that God saves. But what does this mean? We'll learn in the story today that if we trust God and his plans for our lives and obey his teachings, he saves us. So, we've got a story this morning, and this story is of Paul. So, Paul had been on an epic journey, traveling here and there, preaching loads and bringing people to know Jesus. Then in Jerusalem, Paul was arrested, and it was requested that Paul, as a prisoner, be taken to Rome. And this voyage would take him across the Mediterranean Sea. Paul was leaving Jerusalem to face trial in Rome before Caesar himself for teaching people about Jesus in the temple. Before he left, he did get to say farewell to his friends there. So, Paul had been arrested by the Romans and charged with causing trouble. He was a Christian, and he had appealed for his case to be heard in Rome. So he was being escorted there and guarded by Roman soldiers. Once the ship set sail, the wind began to blow strongly, forcing the captain to change course. At the port of Myra, they boarded an Egyptian ship, bound for Italy. After several days of rough sailing, at last the port of Fair Haven in Crete came into sight. They sailed to the shelter of Fair Haven port and docked where they rested for several days. As Fair Havens was an exposed harbour, it was not a good place to spend the winter. Most of the crew grumbled and advised trying to go further around the coast to a place called Phoenix to winter there instead. Paul said, "I believe there is trouble ahead. If we go on, there might even be a shipwreck. Loss of cargo, people might get injured, and some people might even die." But they did not listen to him. Just then, a light wind began blowing from the south, and they pulled up anchor and sailed along close to the shore. But then a heavy wind of typhoon strength, much more than just a little drizzle. This wind even had a name. It was called the Northeaster, and it blew the ship out to sea. They tried to turn back to shore, but couldn't. So they gave up and let the ship run before the gale. So they just literally let the ship run. They sailed behind a small little island called Claudia, where they hoisted aboard the lifeboat that was being towed behind them. They banded the ship with ropes to strengthen the hull. They wrapping the ropes around the hull just to keep it all together, because it must have been creaking so much in the weather. Afraid of being driven across to the quicksands of the African coast, they then lowered the topsails and were driven along by the wind. They could do nothing but be led by the wind. The next day, as the seas grew higher and higher, the crew began throwing the cargo overboard. The following day, they threw out all the tackle and anything else they could lay their hands on. The terrible storm raged unabated for many days, until at last, it felt like all hope was gone. Paul called the crew together and said, "Men, you should have listened to me, and you would have avoided all of this injury and loss of cargo and all of the gear. But cheer up." Cheer up? Cheer up? Paul, my word, do you not see what's going on around you? Cheer up. How come Paul was so cheery? An angel had visited him. An angel visited me last night, he said, and none of this will lose our lives. Even though the ship will go down, God told me, don't be afraid. Isn't that awesome? Every time an angel comes up, every time God comes and talks to people, he says, don't be afraid. Paul, for you will stand trial before Caesar. What's more, God has answered my prayers and will save the lives of all those sailors with you. So take courage, for I believe God. We will be shipwrecked on an island. Wow, so much to unpack there, isn't there? So they're going to be safe. Everybody on the boat is going to be safe. The boat will be destroyed. It will be shipwrecked. But everybody on board, all the lives that are there, will be safe. The storm blew until the ship was close to land, and the crew took soundings, which is where you check the depth of the water. The water was getting shallower and shallower, and some of the sailors planned to abandon the ship and lowered the lifeboat. But Paul said to the soldiers and the commanding officer, "You will all die unless everyone stays on board this ship." Because God had been very clear that they all needed to stay on that ship. So the soldiers cut the ropes and let the lifeboat drift away. That must have felt very strange. I mean, that takes a lot of trust, doesn't it? You're in the middle of the sea, this massive storm, and the one thing that you can put your trust in, or at least they thought they could put their trust in, the lifeboat, the backup plan, they had to cut loose and let it drift away. As the darkness gave way to the early morning light, Paul begged everyone to eat. "You haven't touched food for 2 weeks," he said. He gave thanks to God, and they ate the food. He reassured them, "Not a hair on your heads shall perish." I mean, they must have been grumbling and really, really nervous. The ship then hit a sandbar. That's like a raised bit of sand underneath the water, and ran aground, which means it was just stopped still. It couldn't go anywhere else. The bow of the ship stuck fast in the sandbar, and the waves began to break it apart. So the waves would still have been pushing it towards this sandbar and pushing it towards that, and the boat would have started to buckle and to snap and to break. The soldiers wanted their commanding officer to let them kill all the prisoners in case they swam ashore and escaped. Because obviously the soldiers had the responsibility of looking after the prisoners and keeping them safe and making sure that they get to the destination, to the prison. But Julius wanted to spare Paul, so he refused. Then he ordered all who could swim to jump overboard and make for land, and the rest to hold on to their planks and debris from the broken ship. And do you know what? God kept his promise. He saved everybody on board. All 276 people on board made it safely ashore, just as God had promised. How cool is that? So we see a situation where they didn't have control over it. God had told them, God had spoken to Paul and said, "Look, I don't think this is a good idea for you to sail," but even though they still did, God saved them. How cool is that? I love that. I love that. So excited by that story. And I love it because it's got ships in, it's very swashbuckly, all on the high seas. And actually, it's really interesting. What I found this week, it's really interesting. If you have a look on Google Maps and you do a pin in Jerusalem and then a pin in like Malta, which is where they ran aground, and then if you do a pin in Rome, you can see the journey that they would have had to have taken and where like the big storm would have been and was blowing them about everywhere. So it's incredible to see this journey and the fact that we can see that. And you can see how the distance, and you think about the boats that they had then, you know, we're nowhere near the boats that we had now. They were all made of wood and they had to strap the outer, and they wouldn't have had the modern technology that keeps boats safe these days. So you can imagine that this journey would have been an epic, epic sailing adventure. And God's kept them safe. God saves. How cool is that? Right, so we're going to go straight into an action now. We've got a craft that you can do. So the craft looks like this. Ta-da! And there's a video that's going to come on now that shows you how to make it. Morning everyone! So today this craft is going to be both water themed and going to remind us that God saves. We're going to make a cool frame and a lifesaver ring to remember that as long as we stick with God's plan and trust in Him, He saves. Awesome. So for this craft, you're going to need the printout, which is page 3 from the handout for this morning. And we're also going to need some coloured pencils or felt pens. We're going to need a glue stick, some scissors. You might want to get some cardboard just to make it a little bit more stiff. So you can either use cardboard that you've got from a crafts shop, or you can use a cereal box as well, which is a handy source of cardboard sometimes. So we've got some cardboard there. And then some optional extras, just in case you want to. You can have some string, or you can use lollipops as well, which I'll show you as we're making it. So, I'm going to shift all of this to one side and then we can get started. So, the method for doing this, we're going to want to colour all of these things in. So you've got some planks of wood there, so they need to go brown. These little squares need to go red to go on the Lifesaver Ring, which remains white. God saves, you can colour that in whatever colours you want. Be as colourful as you want to colour it in, because that's an awesome thing to see. And then these, you want to do blue lines on it. What I'm gonna do is alternating blue lines, so different colours, different shades of blue, just so it looks a little bit sea and a little bit oceany. Awesome. So we haven't done this for a while, so we're gonna do a magic click to colour this picture in. Awesome! How cool is that? So yeah, so you can see I've done the alternating blue coloured lines. I've done the browns on here for the wood. You can do it lighter or darker, however you want to do it. I've done a green God saves. And then we've got the red things that go onto the Lifesaver there. Cool. So the next thing we want to do is we want to glue some cardboard to the back of this so that it makes it a little bit more stiff, especially the wood bits, so that it stands out. So it's a little bit like decoupage then, so it stands out when we glue it all together. So let's glue some cardboard onto the back of this. So it almost looks like I haven't done anything, but actually, ta-da! There's cardboard glued to the back of it. How cool is that? So the next step will be to cut all of these bits and bobs out. Now the only difficult one is the center of the circle there. So you might want to ask a mum or a dad to make sure that you've got some nice sharp scissors to cut that out, or they might want to help you a bit. Sometimes you can punch a hole through with the pencil. That might help you to get through, and then you can cut it out. But it's very, very fiddly, but I am fully assured that you are going to be capable of doing this because you're awesome, you guys. So, we're going to do another magic click. I've been saving all of these magic clicks up over the summer because we haven't been doing craft as often. So that's cool. So we got 1, 2, 3, Ta-da! So I love it when this comes together like that. Awesome. So the next step is, this is our back. So we're gonna put some glue around the outside of this piece, and then we're gonna stick these frames onto the side like that. Can you see? So we're gonna use the little white bit around the edge to stick the frame onto the side. So let's do that, shall we? And I think we'll do a super duper speedy motion for this one. 1, 2, 3, go! That's our frame, awesome. So that's really cool. So that will be the backing for our picture. Next we can put the God Saves plaque on. So that's just a little bit of glue on the back of the plaque there like that. And then that goes on there like so. This is looking awesome already. Right, so the next thing is our Lifesaver Ring. So we've got the ring there all done out white. So we want to do a little bit of glue on all 4, I was going to say corners then, but this is a circle, isn't it? So it's not really corners, but on 4 of the edges, and then we want to glue the red squares onto the Lifesaver Ring like this. There we go. Right, how cool is that? That looks really cool. I would love it if somebody threw that to me. Well, actually, maybe not the paper version, but if it was a real version, if I was in the water and I wasn't feeling too comfortable in there, somebody threw this to me, I would be very happy. Obviously the real version, not the cardboard version. The cardboard version would just go blah, blah, blah. Right, so what we could do, because you remember I said at the start there's optional extras. So the optional extras were obviously some lollipop sticks. So if you wanted to, you can do the lollipop sticks instead of the coloured in pieces of wood. But I actually quite like the coloured in pieces of wood because you can do some cool things with like the brown and the orange look, just like that. So the other optional extra was a piece of string, wasn't it? Or a piece of twine. So what we can do with the piece of string is you can wrap it around the side of the Lifesaver to give it that realistic type feeling that it's been at sea and that somebody's using it on a boat. How cool is that? See? So it's quite a cool little effect there, isn't it? Cool. So you just have to wrap it around a few times, and then you might want to use a little bit of tape just to hold it in place. Like so. There we are. So we then want to dab some glue on the back of it. Blip, 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 blip. And stick it to our picture like that. So there we have it. We have our nautical themed picture that shows us that God saves. And it reminds us of the story of Paul on the shipwreck as well, that God saved him and all the other people on the boat as well. And the cool little Lifesaver just reminds us that God's there to save us each day. So have fun making that, and have fun putting it up in your bedroom or on your fridge or in your lounge or right in front of your parents' face. Any way you want to, that'd be awesome. But have fun making this, guys, and I'll catch you next week. Bye. Sorry, I may have spoken out of turn right at the end there. John did tell me that my mic was on, and then I still spoke anyway. It's all good fun here, all good fun. We're just getting back into the swing after coming back from Camp Freedom. Right, cool. So I hope you enjoyed that video on how to make this cool little picture. And like I said, there's other things that you can do to it as well. You can put some more string on the Lifesaver bit, or you can use lollipop sticks instead of the frame or whatever. But yeah, you can stick this wherever you want, and it reminds you that God saves and keeps us safe. Da, 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 da. Cool. So enjoy making that. Send us in some pictures if you do end up making it. That would be really, really cool to see that. Right, I'm going to put that next to my boat there just to keep it all safe. Cool. So we're going to finish up today by honouring God. And what do we do when we honour God? We talk to him and we pray. And we also remember his verses. So we remember bits of the Bible. So we've got a memory verse and we've got a prayer. So how do we pray? We close our eyes and we put our hands together. We bow our heads just so we don't fidget about and we don't think. Just be aware of other people around you. If you are praying, or if you don't want to pray, that's fine. Absolutely no problem. But just be aware if other people around you are praying, and just be respectful. All right? Cool. So we're going to bow our heads. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to hold our hands together so we don't fidget, and we're going to pray to God. Dear God, we thank you that through the storm, if we trust in you and follow your guidance, you keep us safe. Thank you that you sent your son Jesus also to save us from something so much bigger than we can think of. Help us to trust in you more and more each day and follow your plans for our lives. Amen. Amen. That's so cool. Right, so the memory verse for this week is, our God is a God who saves. From the sovereign Lord comes escape from death. And once more, our God is a God who saves, and from the sovereign Lord comes escape from death. Psalm 68, verse 20. So have fun learning that one. It's got death at the end, so I'm sure you're all going to learn it, no problem at all. But have fun learning that one, and it'd be awesome to have you back next week for another episode of Bethel Kids. And don't forget to send in your updates as well, so that we can see what you've been up to, how your first week of school has gone. And we are praying for you. We are thinking of you as you go back into school and go back into the situations that are around you, and something that is familiar but maybe not familiar. But I hope you have an awesome time this week, and take care. All right, that's me out. Bye-bye.